Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making a desktop inbox tray. Now in my household, I take care of all the finances. I pay all the bills, etc., etc., etc. And the thing is that I'm a very busy guy. I don't have a lot of spare time. And normally, because I'm busy, the top of my desk is usually littered with everything from partially done projects to plans for the show to sketch ideas of things I'm planning on for future episodes to airing schedules of the program, etc., etc. My desk is usually a disaster. And when a bill comes in through the mail, my wife usually comes in and places it on my desk. And inevitably, the thing gets lost in the clutter. So today, I'm going to alleviate that, and I'm going to make a tray to go up on the top tier of my desk to give her somewhere to place my mail when it comes in. And this project all starts off with a little bit of scrap maple. Well, when I first got the idea to make this project, I came out here today and checked in the rack, and I found some strips of maple from other projects. And I thought this would be perfect for the walls. I don't want this tray to be too tall because I want it to be as low profile as possible, so this size is perfect. However, this is 3/4 of an inch thick, and I honestly think that that's a little overkill for this build. I think it'll make it bulky. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to 1/2 inch, and I'll probably do that over at the table saw. Once I get it down to its thickness, I want to rip these pieces to be 1¼ inches wide. And here we have the basis for the walls of our inbox. Now this is rather low profile at 1¼ inches tall, but that's what I want. So this is going to be designed to fit an average 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, which is pretty standard. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be making that base, or the bottom of this inbox tray, with 1/4 inch MDF. So 1/4 inch up from the bottom edge on all of our pieces, I'm going to be placing a 1/4 inch wide by 1/4 inch deep dado all the way along. Now, I know that some of you do not have dado blades, and that's okay. Just to demonstrate it can be done even without the dado blade, I'm just going to use my regular blade and just make multiple passes to be able to get the dado that I require for this project. Well, I've cut my backer board from 1/4 inch hardboard, and the thing you want to remember when cutting this, because I want this tray to fit an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, I've left an extra 1/8 of an inch on both the length and the width for wiggle room, but you also have to accommodate your 1/4 inch deep dados, so you have to add a 1/4 inch on each side. So this backer board, actually, with my 1/8 inch extra for my wiggle room plus the allowance for my 1/4 inch deep dados, this actually ends up to be 9 1/8 inches wide by 11 5/8 long. But I really don't want to use maple and then end up with this kind of ugly brownish, what do you call that? I don't know, but it's ugly. So what I'm going to do is I have sheets of veneer in the shop, and I'm not even sure what this is, but it's got that wicked, almost like tiger maple iridescent grain pattern to it in here. It might be snakewood, I'm not sure. But either way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this to my hardboard. So I'm just going to flip this over onto my veneer here. I'm going to mark out with a little bit of extra on the sides, and what we're going to use is some contact cement. So there is a couple things that you want to keep in mind when using contact cement. One of them, and one of the most important, is ventilation. This stuff is toxic, so get your windows open, get your doors open, get as much fresh air into the room as you possibly can, and that will go a long way to keeping the fumes from affecting you. The other thing that you need to remember is contact cement requires 2 coats. 1 coat on each piece that you are adhering, and those coats have to be dry. It will not stick if the contact cement is wet. So you have to be patient and let it be dry to the touch before you can adhere your veneer onto the hardboard. Well, our glue is dry to the touch, and although I don't have as much on there as I'd like, I ran out. So hopefully this will be enough to get a good adhesion on there. So I've laid some dowels down on top of my hardboard, and I'm just going to lay my veneer on top. I'm going to press down the one side to get it to connect, and then using a larger dowel to roll this out, I'm just going to carefully move my dowels along, and as I move this down, I will roll it to make sure there's no air bubbles. And of course, being dowels, they'll just end up rolling out the other side. Just like this. Whew, it's a workout. And finally, at the end, we'll just roll that out. Just like that. All right. And we have our baseboard now, or our veneer, attached to our hardboard. So I'm going to go along now with a knife all the way around the edge, and I'm going to trim off the excess. Now don't worry if it messes up a little bit, because it'll be inside the dados. So get it trimmed up so that it's flush all the way around. Now this veneer was a little rough, so I gave it a light sanding, and it just looks fantastic, much better than the hardboard. I have also confirmed, because of that extra thickness of the veneer, you want to make sure that you left enough to be able to fit it in your dado, because it has to be recessed here. At this point now, we're going to take our maple side strips over to the table saw, and we're going to use our miter fence, and carefully set at 45 degrees. We are going to cut the individual pieces that will make the frame around our inbox. However, what I would suggest is to clamp it to your fence, guys. I know it's a smaller piece and they're fairly easy to hold, but when you're doing something like this, you don't realize the pull that the blade has, and it will in fact shift it on the fence and make your cuts inaccurate and crooked. So be sure to clamp it onto your fence for each and every cut, and cut the pieces required to make the frame around your baseboard. Well, I've finished the miters and I've done a dry fit, and I'm happy with the way everything is going together. It looks great. However, I don't want to be reaching in here to get something and have to try to fish it out here out of this bottom. So in one of our end pieces, we need to cut a finger hole. I've placed a center line on our end piece, and I'm going to measure out from that center line 2 inches out from each end. I want this to be a wider finger hole. So we're going to come out 2 inches, just like this, and another one here, and we will square off those lines. Now from the top, and you want to make sure that you're measuring from the top, we're going to place a line across here 1/2 inch down from the top edge. And then using a 1/2 inch circle template, we're going to round off the top edge and our corner here on our finger hole. So when you get it marked out, you should have something that looks roughly like this. And if you're happy with that, we will just take it over to the scroll saw and cut that finger hole out of there. And before long, you have this nice little finger hole where you can just reach in and pull your pieces out of there. So now you want to give all of your pieces a good sanding, both on the inside surface and on the outside. And at this point, if you want, you can add features. You can put inbox here, you can put incoming mail, you can put whatever you want. You can burn it on, you can paint it on, you can, for me, you know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna laser engrave something here on the front side of it. And once you get that done, we can then glue this together and set it aside to dry. Now, whenever I do a miter joint, I like to use splines because it gives it strength. So I'm just cutting some slots here to accept the splines, and I'm just doing it here using the shop-made spline jig that we made on the show not too long ago. Now, I use the splines for the strength, but I use contrasting wood for the features. So what I'm going to do is I've got some walnut here that I have cut into a triangle, and we're going to glue each one into our slots here on the corners. That will strengthen this joint extremely. And then once these are completely dry, we've cleaned up the squeeze out, we're going to cut these flush. And I'm going to show you how to do it over at the scroll saw. Well, I know that some of you are going to think that Kenny has lost his marbles to be able to cut the splines off with the scroll saw, but let me show you how easily it's done. I have a number 7 reverse tooth blade installed here, and that is overkill for these 1/8 inch thick splines. However, I don't want the blade for its cutting ability. I want the blade for its back edge, and a number 7 blade has quite a bit of blade before the teeth start. Because what we're going to do is we're going to use that back edge as a guide with the saw blade. So you can see that my piece is kind of skewed here, but that's because I'm actually running the stock against that back edge, and by doing that we can cut the spline off without damaging the maple. And let me just demonstrate that for you here. Just like that. Now, it's not perfectly flush, but it's not perfectly flush when you use a flush cut saw either. We will still need to trim this up. And in order to get this side, you don't want to come in from the corner. You want to come from the back edge. So just turn your piece around and do the exact same thing. Look at that. It cuts it so nice and so clean, very little sanding left to be done. So cut the rest of your splines off, sand up your inbox tray, and there's one last step that I want to do to it. Well, the last thing that I want to do is all the way around the upper outside edge and the lower outside edge, I want to place a 1/8 inch roundover all the way around. I also want to, with sandpaper, break this sharp maple edge just to soften the inner side just a little bit. And then once I get that done, I'll show you what I ended up with. And when you're done, you end up with something like this. And look at how gorgeous that is. I mean, we've got the nice white maple here with these dark, rich walnut splines, but not too many. I usually do 2 splines equally spaced, but I wanted a more slimline feature here. So just one in the middle, a nice thin spline, and then of course, I don't even know what kind of wood this is, but kind of contrasting with that iridescent grain really sets this piece off and makes it look really great. And of course, the laser engraved detail in the front. I just love this thing, and I've been able to add all kinds of accents to my projects with my laser engraver. So either way, guys, there you go. Look at that. That's going to come in handy. And all I need to do now is apply a satin varnish, and we'll call this one done. And there you have it. A desktop inbox. Guys, this project just looks great. It has so many elements of it that make it look good. Part of it is its slimline kind of profile, that it's not this big bulky box, it's just a small little tray. That small little tray looks a lot better on a desk, in my opinion, than what a big bulky inbox tray. Also, it's the contrasts of the woods that I've used here. The light colored box, the kind of medium colored base or floor, and then those dark walnut splines with that dark engraving across the front edge really sets the whole thing off, and it looks fantastic. So all in all, when I first started this, it started off with some 3/4 inch stock, and I'm glad that I decided to take that down to 1/2 inch, because I think 3/4 would have taken away from its slimline features, where I made it so short, only 1 1/4 inches tall. I think that 3/4 would have made it look too blocky. It would have made it look like it was made from 2x4s, and that is not the effect I was after. Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. I don't know if this is going to solve my lost mail on my desk issue. I mean, I'm not so sure that the issue is that my wife puts my mail on my desk. I think the issue is maybe I need to stop having so much on my plate and stop having so much on my desk. Maybe that is the key to fixing this whole issue. I don't know. Couldn't be me, right? Anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. You click on that bell, and then you're not going to miss the notifications of future episodes of this show. Guys, I want to thank you once more for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this content today. I hope you're going to share this content if you like what you saw. I hope you're going to try this for yourself. And more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.